There are two very interesting conversations involving the former president, now president-elect.
Yes,
I need to get used to this. So he went to church and said some very, 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 very interesting things about power, about knowing who your friends are. And I think it's nice to see how serious he's taking the job. He's talking about very, very clear things about what to do when he comes into office, because I think the 8 years in opposition has taught him a few lessons. Later on, he sat down with the Voice of America, and I'm going to bring you highlights. It was a very good interview because, as Godfred will tell you, you listened to the interview in full. You're saying that interview sort of spelled out his economic plan and also some things that were not so clear. He made very clear for those who didn't listen to the interview. Why were you so fascinated by that interview, Godfred, before I even...
Well, I think that a lot in 10 minutes he was able to explain what his 4 years is about in 10 minutes. Basically spoke about his economic plan, what he's going to do. So he spoke about bringing down inflation, which is key for him. He says that will lead to stabilizing the currency. Spoke about reducing the deficit, spoke about cutting down on expenditure, then spoke about increasing revenue, then spoke about ditching artificial job employment models like NAPCO. Then talks about the big question of education. Says, well, political gimmick, he was not going to cut free senior high school, but they needed to find a reasonable way of keeping it intact and improving it. But most importantly for him, he broke it down and said the biggest conversation that nobody is having is the problems that are happening at the basic level. Which,
he actually spoke about that?
Yes, and that he needs to really pay attention. Spoke about schools, actually broke down numbers, says there are 1.3 million students in basic education who have no furniture, who go to school and lie down on their stomachs and learn. And that because we've paid so much attention to free senior high school, everybody has forgotten that the kids come from somewhere before they enter free senior high school.
I'm very happy about that because, Africa Education Watch has been saying a lot about this.
Yes.
In 2023, 2024.
2022.
Yes, it looked like it had been drowned by the various voices around free SHS.
Yes.
So for him to pick these facts that we have articulated on this show through Africa Education Watch, it tells me that he's been engaging with civil society and education quite well.
Yeah.
And that he's very clear around what needs to be done in education.
Yes. Also spoke about a conference that he's going to put together for all the minds in education
to come and discuss
how to improve education and have some finality and consensus on what to do with education.
I like the word consensus in that construction because I felt from the economic side as well that whatever economic plan he has, he needs consensus to do.
Yeah.
So to hear the word consensus in education as well is also comforting because Godfrey, the mandate is a big mandate. The 2/3 majority can be used to do anything. So for somebody with a 2/3 majority likely to start talking about consensus, it's good.
Yeah.
Because some could say, well, we've suffered under 8 years, so we have gotten the power, we can do what we like. But to say consensus is good. So let's keep an eye on those two. Let me do 2 quick birthday requests before I play you the first. Why do I keep calling former president?
He's a former president.
So former president and president-elect.
Yeah.
It's a lot of things. It's a good question for what do you know.
It's hard to change when you've been calling somebody former president for 8 years.
But you know what's funny though?
Suddenly you have to call him president-elect.
You know what's funny though? The only other leader we've had who's had a break in his presidency has been Rawlings. So Rawlings was AFRC 79. Then Liman came in for a very short period. Then Rawlings came to overthrow Liman. So that's... Not many people get the chance to have a second bite at the cherry. All right. So Mahama goes to church. President-elect John Dramani Mahama says he remains grounded in his approach to leadership despite his resounding victory in the December 7 election. Speaking at the Thanksgiving service at the Ringway Assemblies of God Church in Accra, President Mahama reflected on lessons from his political journey and the need to stay connected on the realities of governance. He urged Ghanaians to unite and work collectively to address the country's challenges.
This victory can only be divine. God assured me in my heart that I knew. He spoke to me and said that He will bless me with success in this election. But I did not know that the blessing was going to be so bountiful and that the victory was going to be so massive and so dramatic that I give Him all the thanks and blessing for what he has done, not only for me, but for the whole of Ghana. He has done good for Ghana because he has restored the sovereignty and the power of the people of Ghana. We've practiced democracy since 1992. With time, the political elite, and I'll say including myself, all of us who God has given the opportunity to lead this country, we have grown in arrogance and selfishness. And we have believed that the power that we wielded over the people belonged to us, ourselves, and did not recognize that it was God who gave it to us temporarily. So God has made us know that power belongs to the people. And that the people might be quiet and peaceful and calm, but when they have reached their limits, they will show you that real power belongs to them, and that is God who gives that power. And so, just as our colleagues in the MPP might be feeling very pained by their loss, it should serve as a lesson to those of us coming into government that the same stick that Techi has been beating with, Ghanaian people are deserving it for man. So I've been receiving knocks on my door, receiving text messages, people who are considering themselves for various positions, and I just want to warn them, it's not going to be a walk in the park. If you are not prepared to work and serve the people of Ghana diligently and modestly and with humility, then don't come. Just stay where you are. My political journey has been a divine one, and I believe that it's God who has guided my step each way until now, from being a member of parliament to being a deputy minister to being a minister to being a vice president to being a president. At each step I have doubted whether it was the path that I wanted to carry on. But God has gently continued to push me and show me in the direction that He wants me to go. And I know that it's Him who has put me for a time like this to do His work for Ghana and for Him. Sometimes it has been happiness, and today we're dressed in all white, we're all happy. But sometimes it has been sadness, it has been very lonely. And I remember a time when I had won the election in 2012, and I went to visit President Kufuor, and it was surprising how quiet his house was, and how quiet the entrance to his house was. And I was transported back to when he was president. Anytime I was going to Parliament, I lived in East Legon. There was a huge crowd in the frontage of his house next to Villaju. You people know that place. And anytime it was Christmas or the Muslim feast of Salah, you see white sheep and cows tied outside his house being brought to him as gifts. And so this time, like, it was very quiet. Just a few policemen at the entrance, his loyal policemen who had been assigned to him by the state. And so when I went in, I remarked, I said, oh, look how quiet your house is. I remember when you were president, this place was always full of people. And he said, John, take note of that. Know that all those people are coming to you because of the position you occupy. And that one day when you leave that position, your house will be as quiet as mine. And it's true, when I lost in 2016, the Christmas hampers stopped coming. There are many people who used to come to my gate and come and try to get into just to see me for a minute, stop coming. It was only my siblings, my family, my closest friends and others, my church members who continued to stand closely to me. So for me, these trappings of power don't get to my head. I know that all the praises and blessings you'll be showered with by people are temporary. It's because of that word attached to your name, president. One day it will go and you'll be with those who are just your closest, your church, your family, and your good friends. This has been a very grueling campaign, and there were times when the spirit was willing, but the flesh was weak. There were mornings when getting out of bed was quite a struggle, because we had just come back from campaigning at about 3 a.m. and by 8 a.m. they were asking you to get up and hit the road again. And yet, when I managed to get out of bed and stood under the shower, it was as if God was washing all the fatigue away. I stepped out of the shower, and God had given me a renewed energy for that day. And so I thank Him for seeing us through, for giving me the energy to go through this campaign, and to thank Him for making us do it safely. We suffered no casualty. We had no accident. If you consider that we visited every part of this country, every single constituency, and we were on the move continuously for weeks on end, driving thousands of kilometers, and yet there was no casualty, no accident.
President-elect and former President John Dramani Mahama speaking at a Thanksgiving service at his church, the Ringway Assemblies of God Church, which incidentally is the church of the former Chief Justice, Lordship Georgina Theodora Wood, who used to be what is called her ladyship, okay, a Sunday school teacher. So we call them Sunday school teachers. Not, in Assemblies of God, when they say Sunday school, it's not kids. So usually in an Assemblies of God or a Pentecostal setting, the Bible study team is called the Sunday school team. So when I was in LPU, I was the assistant Sunday school superintendent.
I see.
Yeah, and then I later became the Sunday school superintendent. Even though this guy is not convinced. So Justice Georgina Wood was the Sunday school teacher. So it means when you go to church in the morning, maybe let's service starts at 9, you go from 7:30 to 8:30. They will do Sunday school. There's a booklet.
So that's like Bible study.
Yeah, so the Sunday school superintendent has assistant superintendent. So this CJ was one. And Mahama at the time was so he will go and sit and the CJ will be opening the Bible to him. So the Bible he knows, the CJ will teach him. Basically, that's what we are saying. I used to have when I was in LPU, I'll tell you some very interesting names. Maximus Ametogo. When I was in level 100, he was a Sunday school superintendent. Boss Manasari was an
doctor.
He was an evangelism secretary. There was a guy called the guy who's MP for Suami. What's his name?
That's Eugene.
No. Who took over from
George?
He's called John Daku. John Daku he was this evangelism and prayer secretary or something. John Daku. He was a lawyer. At that time he was doing political science and he later came to do law. So I know a lot of these people.
I see.
So we hope they live by the Bible. That's the whole thing. Because Charlie, they were. So we're all in LPU.
Nice.
So Pastor Wengam is of course, the general superintendent of the Assemblies of God Church. And John Mahama has always made reference to Assemblies of God as his church. So, and this we are told is different from the NDC Thanksgiving. This is John Mahama's own Thanksgiving that he did at his local church. The party would do a Thanksgiving service. I wanted a comment from Sky on the trappings of power and what. How should I even put this question? The wisdom of having been in power before, because you always talk about the dangers of political power. So for somebody to go to opposition as a former president and think about the presidency and get to come back, how valuable is that for a politician, Sky, do you think?
I think it's a valuable insight to have and an experience to have actually accumulated over the last 8 years. Because when you find yourself in a sensitive position, an influential position, like that of the President of the Republic, a Member of Parliament, a Minister of State, a DCE or Chief Executive, or even a host of a morning show or breakfast show or whatever program. There are people who come to you generally because of the position you occupy. And if you are not careful, those define you. And if you lift your standard to such a height as to think that, oh, this thing is forever, when you leave office, you will be shocked by how much people will desert you. And it's great to hear the former president say that, because I have witnessed how members of parliament former have decayed over the years, merely because they left their positions. I've witnessed how ministers of state, and the producers here would confirm, upon leaving office, how they come for programs here. Previously, they come, in some cases, their V8 will be on for what? The entire duration of the time that they are here. They leave, get into the vehicle, and go back. When they come during the opposition days, you find that even the vehicle they have brought to the studio or the station can't even open because maybe the door has a problem.
When the power goes,
they can't even start properly because the trappings of power come with so many things. So for a former president to have experienced what happened with John Kufuor, we saw what happened with Jerry Rawlings. We saw what happened with Miles when he was in a position for 8 years, having left office as vice president of the republic. Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, again, when he also was voted out because he wanted to be president, he couldn't make it. We saw how lean his team became upon falling into opposition. So it is a great reminder as to what can happen to you as a leader if you no longer find yourself in that position.
So it's a valuable
lesson,
background to come to the presidency with.
Exactly.
And hopefully with all his personal experience as where did he start from? He said he was
an assemblyman.
From assemblyman?
Yeah, who rose to become a member of parliament and deputy minister.
Wow.
Maintained that position until he was made vice presidential candidate in 2008.
Wow. So assemblyman, MP, MP for 2 terms.
Was it 2 terms? I think
Yeah,
it was
I think
three
a couple
terms.
of three. I think a few
terms,
terms.
three
Then deputy or vice president.
Yes.
Then president.
Yes.
Then opposition leader, and back to president. So that is probably 2/3 of his life in politics.
Yes. It's tasted power at
every level. So that's a very useful background. Again, the point around consensus. Let's listen to this interview. We'll comment about this because the president-elect then had a conversation with the Voice of America's Paul Indiho, and they spoke a little about education, agric and sports, economy generally, IMF and that type of thing. Here is a very big chunk of, or a reasonable chunk of the interview we are bringing to you now.
I'm sure you'd have heard during the campaign, I said, is the economy stupid? Quoting from what happened in Bill Clinton's campaign. And people thought that I was being offensive, and it did come down to the economy. All the opinion polls showed that the economy and employment were the most important issues. And so what we did was to drill down our message to issues to do with job creation and the economy, and eventually it did pay off. The economy is going to be the number one focus because it affects everything else. If the economy is in a bad way, it affects education, it affects agriculture, it affects sports, it affects every sector of the country. So we're going to have to be dealing with stabilizing the economy. Unfortunately, in this circumstance, we have two major issues. One, macroeconomic stability, and two, debt sustainability. In all the other times that we've gone to the IMF, it's just been for macroeconomic stability, but we have twin problems now. And so we're going to continue the IMF program. We already have requested some discussion with the IMF because we're not part of the negotiation of this program. And so we need to look at how we can all be on the same wavelength in terms of implementing the program. We're not going to jettison the program. I want to make that clear. We're not jettisoning the program. But within the program, I'm sure that there can be some leverage for tweaking it. And so if we're able to reach that agreement, then we'll continue the program till it ends. What it means is that the budget must align with the IMF program. So there's not much leverage in there for making the kind of radical reforms that you might immediately need to make. But we would accept the reforms that are being made under the IMF and deepen them when we have our own program after the current extended credit facility runs out. So far, so good. Bringing down inflation is number one priority. Stabilizing the currency is number two. Bringing the deficit down, cutting expenditure, increasing revenues. I mean, those are the things that we need to be looking at.
One of the things that resonated with the young people was the 24-hour economy.
Yes.
Do you care explaining what that means for ordinary Ghanaians? 24-hour
economy is not a new thing. It's being implemented in many countries. And so Ghana will not be the first to implement a 24-hour economy. What a 24-hour economy does is that you provide incentives to the private sector to be able to increase their production and increase the number of working hours and increase the number of employees. That is what it is.
Let's move on to the next topic, unemployment. Every single young person I talk to, they talk about how there are no jobs.
You know, job creation is not an event, it's a process. And so you're not going to be able to, with one stroke of the pen, create the number of jobs that you want. The first thing is restoring the economy back to health and restoring it back onto the path of growth. That in itself will begin to throw up jobs. Businesses are suffering. A lot of businesses have laid off people just because of the crisis we've had in the economy. And so just bringing the economy back and letting businesses grow again. We are not interested in the artificial job creation measures that have been done in the past, like NAPCO, where young people were taken through 3 years, paid an allowance, and promised that they'll be graduated into jobs. And at the end of the process, they've been abandoned. We're not going to do those artificial job creation measures. We already have the Youth Employment Agency that is creating those opportunities for training and for orientation for jobs. We think that Ghanaians are not all consigned to become employees. If you look at the government sector employs less than 1 million people out of a population of 33 million. And so it's not a viable sector where all the teeming youth can get a job. The best place to get a job would be for the private sector to grow. And in the past, what we've done is pay lip service to the private sector. It is time to take the private sector seriously, both in terms of expanding their capacity to employ, but at the same time, creating opportunities for young people to create their own jobs. Now that we have the African Continental Free Trade Area, it should be possible for us to encourage Ghanaian business to take advantage of that and increase production so that we can export to all the other African countries.
Mr. President, let me follow up on a quicker point. You talked about how you're going to help young people acquire employment. Yesterday, I ran into a young lady by the names of Penelope Brooke Thompson. She runs a technical institute where she trains plumbers, artisans,
yes,
to gain gainful employment.
Yeah.
But her problem is she doesn't have funds to keep something like that going.
Yes.
So far, she's been actively doing it for about 2 years.
Yeah.
But she has trained about 180 who have gone on to graduate, and they are doing amazing work on them.
Yes.
So are there programs like that can support young people like that?
It fits into two programs that we have. The National Apprenticeship Program, which would allow master craftsmen to train apprentices and give them the manual skills that they need to be able to either set up their own businesses or go into the world of work. So that is one aspect of it. We also have the intention to expand technical and vocational education training. And government is not going to be able to do it alone. We need a private sector like people like her to come on board. Because if we train skilled labor, people who can use their hands to work, if you look at the direction in which business is going, they're looking more for not grammar school kinds of people, not more people who have done humanities. There's an oversubscription of people who have degrees in humanities, including masters and PhDs. If you look at where business is going, it is going more for skilled labor. And so they need technicians, electricians, carpenters, skilled welders, and so on and so forth. And so if we're able to equip our young people with these skills, it will make it easier for them to be able to find work, both locally, but also externally. You know, the population in Asia and Europe is aging, and so they have a deficit of skilled manpower. And so several countries are signing agreements where young Africans who are well skilled can go and work for fixed contracts, say 5 years, and come back. Germany and Kenya recently signed an agreement to send skilled technicians to Germany to go and work. We're willing to sign those kinds of contracts with other countries.
When it comes to education, a lot of young people thought maybe the election could have even gone the other way because of free education. But at the same time, they are worried that this program where a lot of young people are benefiting, or the parents are afraid that once you get into office, you might scrap that.
Free SHS has come to stay, and it is not going anywhere. Nobody is going to scrap free SHS. What was said was political talk, and it was just political gimmickry. Free SHS is not going anywhere. We're going to maintain the policy. What we're going to do is to get dedicated funding for it so that it is better resourced than it is currently. There's a lot of waste in the system. We're going to help to make it more efficient so that the teachers, the parents, and the students get the best out of the free SHS. We're going to look at the basic school level too. Because we have focused on free SHS, we are abandoning the basic level. And so the basic level is becoming a major problem. 1.3 million pupils at the basic level do not have furniture. They don't have tables and chairs to sit on. They lie on their stomachs in the classroom or sit on cement blocks. And that's because all our focus has been on the secondary school level. So we're going to hold a national education forum. And that forum is going to bring all the stakeholders together. And we're going to take a look at the whole education value chain. And we're going to come, and by consensus, all of us, it's non-partisan, everybody of every walk of life who has a stake in education is going to be at that conference. And we're going to take important decisions on how to reform our education so that the children get better quality. And so that's what we're going to look at. But the thing about me coming and scrapping free SHS was just political gimmickry by the MPP. Free SHS has come to stay. We're going to make it better. We're going to improve the quality of the food for the children.
Here of Galamsey.
Yeah.
What do you say about it? How are you going to... we had protests last year, and previously there's been a lot of agitation.
When this government came, they passed an LI which allowed entry into forest reserves to mine. And since the last 8 years, 37 forest reserves have been, there have been incursions into 37 forest reserves. Some have been almost completely destroyed. And so the first thing is to stop mining in forest reserves. And so we're going to work with the Minerals Commission and the Environmental Protection Agency to see how we implement the law so that it stops this poisoning of our water bodies.
Well, Mr. President, thank you so much for the time.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Shaka.
Absolutely.
10 minutes interview highlights with the VOA Sport in Diho, and I guess it's fair to say the man is clear about the economic challenge he faces and the state of the educational sector as well, and also pretty clear on some of the issues to deal with on Galamsey, like mining and forest reserves.
Yeah.
And
yes, and the fact that they need to deal with that law on forest reserves. That's
mining forest
people to
reserves,
mine
yeah.
in forest
I think
reserves.
there's already
a push
by some MPs, Suhini
Yes.
and Co, to deal with that. And then he spoke about the effects of the economy on education, agric and sports. So I think we all know that the economy is going to be the most important part of this government's remit.
Yes.
And so his point is that he needs to look at both macro and micro and debt sustainability as well.
Which is why I was asking you that, last week, just the forecast, that I think the two most important announcements he will make in after January 7th will be the Ministry of Finance and the Bank of Ghana.
I'm not even.
Why,
I don't
why-
think so. I don't think so. I don't think so.
Because
you know what
he
I
spoke
think?
about re-engagement with the IMF, and he does admit in the interview, for instance, that when they have spoken to the IMF and they've shown a willingness to look at certain aspects of the arrangement that we are in, but he also admits that they were not in the room when
Exactly. So the fine details will not be known.
so they don't know the fine details. So they now have to put their people in the room. Now those kinds of conversations will need to be had by those people.
I think.
And it sends a message. You see, let's not.
So you mean the choice of those people?
Sends a message to the international community. Sends a message to the country as well. Sends a message to investors here.
I don't disagree with you. I just want to qualify it.
Okay.
I think it's the design of government that will even reveal the role of these people.
Okay.
So you are in a transition period, and you've seen this transition team.
Yeah.
Now, if he decides, for example, to appoint somebody to oversee the IMF program from an advisory role, may not even be the finance ministry. Yes, the finance ministry is at the center of everything, but if we look at the type of government design he wants to put in place, don't forget he's doing 60 ministers.
Yeah.
Now, 60 ministers is very small. In
That
that,
system ministers and deputies, or just
no, because we always use the number 60 to represent all your ministers. Because Akufo-Addo 110 or something. Those are all his ministers. So basically, minister, deputy, everything 60.
60.
Yes.
Wow, that's going to be really, really tough.
According to the constitution, how many cabinet positions are there?
No, the Constitution says, is it 11? If I have to go
Let me
back to
check.
the Constitution.
Because I'm using that to extrapolate why the 60 is possible. Because if you have
The Constitution doesn't really prescribe how many ministers you have, but it indicates.
there's a minimum.
Not-
The constitution of cabinet. You read it to me before.
Yeah, that's
You read
right.
it before,
There's
you
a provision on that. Hold on, let me get that. Well, do other.
So the point I'm trying to make is that by design, there are some ministries that are, Fred, there are some ministries that are almost allocated by the constitution. All right.
Akufo-Addo had 19, but is there the law that is 19?
No, but there's a certain provision in the constitution that talks about he shall have a cabinet which shall include, and then they listed.
So the Constitution enjoins the president to have a cabinet of no fewer than 10.
Yes, my
and not
point.
more than 19.
100%.
So he filled every role. The
Good.
19.
So my point is that the people who frame the constitution are designing that no matter how you look at it, 11 to 19 should be enough as substantive ministers. Okay, now let's assume he chooses 19. Let's assume he even chooses 20. If he chooses 20, that's if one deputy plus times 2 is 40. So he has another extra 20 to decide.
See, why I believe it's going to be is difficult is, first of all, you have 16 regions. 16 out of 60 is what?
If you take the
44.
44 left.
44. Assuming you are not giving them deputy ministers and you want the regional coordination chiefs to run as deputy.
So you have 44 left.
44 left. So now 44, the substantive positions also have to be taken care of. And the question is whether in taking care of those substantive positions, you are going to add deputies to them.
I think if you want his view on this, look at the Rawlings last term. The design of the ministry. So usually NDC tends to focus.
merge certain
Yes.
ministries.
So NDC doesn't typically do railway. They don't do. Even they didn't used to do fisheries.
Fisheries, no.
They used
It's all
to.
part
They
of
just have.
agriculture.
They didn't have to have aviation. They just have transport. They have roads.
Yeah.
All right, and then they have. So they sort of merge even tourism and culture.
Yeah.
So I think is if you're looking for 19 substantive roles, let's do one by one.
NDC,
Before
NDC,
that,
I
let me
don't
just
think
give
NDC
you.
did
Let
chieftaincy,
me
did
just
they?
read
No,
the provision.
they merge them with
Yeah,
some
all of them
other
is under-
things.
Let me just read the provision before we continue.
Yeah.
The cabinet, Article 76. 1. There shall be a cabinet which shall consist of the president, the vice president, and not less than 10, and not more than 13, no, 19
yes.
ministers of state.
Yeah,
The cabinet shall assist the president in the determination of general policy of the government.
good.
Yeah.
Now I am saying that there are some positions which are given. Attorney General is given. In fact, some people think he shouldn't be a minister. Attorney General is a position which you can separate Minister of Justice from. But I don't think the NEC campaigned on that.
Let me read a provision.
Yes.
There shall be an Attorney General, this is Article 88(1) of Ghana, who shall be a minister.
Okay, so constitutionally, unless you change it,
Yeah,
it's
Minister
a
of
minister.
State.
So that one is already positioned, it's there.
They should change it.
You definitely need a Minister of Finance
Yeah.
in some shape or form.
Yeah,
Kufuor
because
had
it's mentioned by the Constitution.
Kufuor had economic something, but it's also finance. So finance is also in the Constitution. So that's 2. Defense is there. You can't move away from that. Interior is there. That's 4 so far. Agric is critical. So that's 5. Okay.
Health.
Health is 6. Education is 7. Now you have roads. You can do roads and transport if you want, because you can basically do. Don't forget that there's transport has railways, it has ports, it has aviation. But you could also add roads to it. To that will be on 9. Okay. Now you definitely need a local government minister. Okay, so you have 10 already.
Foreign affairs.
You have a foreign minister, that's 11. I still have 9 slots in the 19. I have 9 slots.
You haven't done information,
So you can decide to merge communication and information.
which they normally do.
So NDC will usually merge it. So the minister will have one. So this is what they could do. The substantive minister will be maybe the one who's strong on the communication, and then his deputy will focus on the information. So that's 11. So you can have youth and sports, 12. I still have 7 slots. So because I've merged,
So
I've
this
merged
12
communication and information.
Youth
I've
and
merged
sports.
transport and roads.
Trade and industry.
Let's do the
So you
math
can do
carefully.
trade, industry, and commerce. That's 13.
Okay.
I still have 6 slots to fill.
Hold on. So this 13 that we've established, it's
Yeah.
what minister and his deputy.
No, just one. So
Just
far,
one.
just one.
So that's 13.
I have 13.
Energy.
Okay.
So energy and power, usually they have. So that's 14.
Health.
I've done health already.
Health.
We've mentioned what?
Education is also
tourism.
good.
Yes, I haven't mentioned tourism.
Lands and natural resources.
So you can do mines, and again in the past they had fuel and
Mines
power
and-
and mines, but you can have mines.
Yeah.
So that's 15.
Sanitation there.
Wait, so that's 15 mines. Have I added tourism? Tourism
No,
was
Let me
14.
just mention.
tourism and arts, yes.
So tourism is 14.
Oh, sanitation survive.
No, hold on. Lands. Let's look at the substantive ones. Lands is 15.
Yeah.
And lands could be minerals.
And all
And
that.
I've already chosen power and energy as 1.
Yeah.
That's 13. So I still have 4 slots to occupy. It's four substantive slots. By merging transport and roads, he could decide to even separate the 2.
Yeah.
If he decides to separate transport and roads, he's still 16 because he's merged digital and information.
There's still
So there's still 3 more.
gender. to
And there's
think
works
about
and
if
housing.
there's- If
So works and housing 17.
Yes.
Works and housing 17. Labor and employment 18.
Yeah. Ministry of Environment, Science and Technology.
That's
can do
19.
with something. Or
That's
it's done on
19.
its
So you have
own.
your 19.
Right.
So even if you decide to do 20,
Yeah.
you could maybe do culture, tourism together.
What about-
I don't know.
what about gender and social protection and all of that? Would
Yeah,
that have to?
I think
stand
I've
on
mentioned
its
that
own? Okay.
because according to the new ways of thinking in the world, inclusion, SDGs, there's definitely a social sector that needs to be covered.
Yeah.
So that gender thing you can't run away from. But
But previously they added that to employment. Social
yes, they
welfare.
can add it to social welfare, or they can do it under gender.
Yeah.
But the point is that you
So here's the thing, what I have from what you are mentioning.
Yes.
Let me see whether I've left something out. So far we have 15. Finance,
that's one.
finance, defense, attorney general, foreign affairs, communications and information.
Hold on. Take your time, write it.
Okay.
All the things I was writing.
Finance.
So finance 1,
Yes.
defense,
Defense,
2, AG
attorney
3,
general,
foreign affairs 4,
communications and information,
5,
youth and sports,
6.
transport and related, railway and all that.
So transport is 1,
Yeah.
7.
Energy
8.
and power.
So energy and power 8.
Yeah.
1.
Health,
Health 9.
lands and natural resources,
That's 10.
tourism.
No, you've left education out.
Yeah,
Okay, so
yeah,
lands
mention.
and natural resources
Yeah.
11.
Yeah. Interior.
Wait.
Okay.
Which one is 12?
12 is interior.
No. 9 is health.
10.
10 is lands and natural resources. Which
Yeah,
one is
then I
11?
mentioned tourism.
11.
11 is tourism.
Yeah.
Should that be one ministry on its own?
I think it can be.
I don't think so.
Unless, because my Gizo was a minister of tourism at some point, right? Under Rolex.
Can't you have tourism and culture as one ministry.
Yeah, but they are the same thing, isn't it? If you add it to chieftaincy or whatever, it's the same thing.
That's what I'm
So you call it a tourism ministry, but you do state that its mandate will cover.
Yeah, normally
not
they
only
have
tourism,
a long
you
title.
add-
You see, the reason I'm doing this is that we are trying to remove redundancy and basically be functional. So finance.
So you can be tourism,
Yeah.
arts, and culture,
Thank
and you can add chieftaincy to it.
Yes.
So that's
So
subsumed
tourism,
under
arts,
culture.
culture, and chieftaincy
Yes.
as one.
Uh-huh.
So that's point 11.
Yes,
So 12 is what?
interior,
Yeah. 13.
works and housing,
Okay. 14.
science and technology.
They usually add environment to that.
Yeah, environment. Yes.
So environment. By the way, has that been NDC's approach? Anyway, they usually have a different thing: science and technology.
Yeah.
Ayaga was Minister for Environment, Science, and Technology.
Yeah,
Yes.
at some point, and a MILF.
And there was also Omani Boama as a deputy minister for that.
Yeah.
So they always have Amako Nyama,
Yes.
environment, science, technology.
And technology, yeah.
Okay, that's 14.
Is
Yeah,
trade
14.
in yet?
He hasn't had a trade.
Yeah.
Okay.
So gender and social protection.
You still haven't mentioned education.
I'll mention it. I'll mention it. I'll mention it.
Okay,
Don't
so
worry.
15 is what? Gender and what?
Gender and social protection.
Was that Nana Yelite's role?
Yeah, that was Nana Oyete.
Okay. Now, the reason I'm pushing back on some of these things is that when you listen to the man, I don't think he's going to necessarily repeat what he did in his first term.
Yeah.
Because 60 is very small, and a lot of things that he did in his first term, he may not repeat it.
Yeah. So we now have education, which is 16.
Education, 16.
And then we have trade and industry.
Trade and industry,
Yeah.
17.
So now 2 slots left if we are going with, what do you call it?
Did you mention
Nine.
information and communication?
Yeah, he
Yeah,
did.
yeah.
So
information.
finance 1, defense 2, AG 3,
I think
foreign affairs 4, communication and information 5,
Yeah.
youth and sports 6, transport 7,
And
energy and power 8, health 9, lands
And
and
naturals.
mining 10, tourism, arts, culture, chieftaincy 12, no 11. 12 is
Interior.
interior, 13 is works and
Works and
housing,
housing.
14 is energy, fuel and power, 15 is gender and social protection, 16 is what?
Education.
17 is,
Trade and industry.
you haven't mentioned roads.
Roads.
Trans-
Okay. Yeah. So roads
Roads.
and highways.
Roads is 18. So that 19 cap, there's still one space.
Yeah. Maybe you make it. We make it minister.
Local government,
Local government. Okay. Great. Local
19
government.
local government. All right. So these are the ministries you can work with. Everything else can fit under it. So if it gives you 19, 19 times 2 is 38. 38 plus 16 is what?
54.
54. He has 6 slots. So he can decide that some important ministries like education and maybe energy,
We'll have deputies.
he can have more than one deputy. Because if you
but-
allocate
but-
this 18 Sky has created, if you give each of these a deputy, that's 30. No,
Six.
no, it's 19. You created 19.
19 times
19 times 2 is 36.
38.
38 plus
38.
16, 54. You still have 6 slots.
Yeah, but I told
but
you
this
that
number is without regional
Ministers.
No, it's regional 16.
you're adding
It's
Okay,
16,
plus the 16,
16
okay,
plus
the
38
16
is
you are talking
54.
about.
54. Okay.
So he has 6 extra spaces.
to do
create
w-
deputies
ministers
in-
of state.
I think,
Yeah.
I think
So
if
you are-
go
you-
through the NDC
okay.
He can do
manifesto,
it.
they were talking about youth. I don't know whether it clearly states they were going to decouple youth and sports, so youth has a standalone ministry. We'll just double check. But then we still have wiggle room
Did
for
you,
one
did you
more.
create employment?
Employment.
Yes.
No, employment is not here.
So if you add labor, that's 20.
20.
20 times 2, 40.
40.
40 plus 16, 56.
56.
You still have 4. That 4 will be deputies or ministers of state. So you can have 4 ministers of state who can help to work in other ministries. My point is, this is doable because even both MPP even said they can also do 60 or something.
And you know, Bernard, the interesting.
doable.
Yeah.
And I don't think you should listen to people who want to lobby that he makes it more.
You see, let me add something.
He should keep the 60.
Let me add something. If you look at the size of the NDC's victory and the number of MPs they have in parliament,
Yeah.
if you conveniently take majority, so let's assume that he's going with 60, right? Majority will be 31. You get that?
Yeah.
Because the constitution says majority of the president minister shall come from parliament.
So whatever he does, at least 31.
Yes, so
At
31.
least.
At least 31 in parliament. If
Yeah.
you take 31 out, what it means is that the NDC still has sweeping majority in parliament and will be able to work without these ministers coming to parliament to work on a regular basis.
Although some of their work means they have to come to parliament.
Exactly, because one of the biggest problems that the NPP had was that majority of your ministers came from Parliament.
So when they go out,
then you had a huge deficit because the numbers were almost even.
Okay.
You
So they didn't
understand?
have enough people to sometimes fight the NDC, even though they were in government.
Exactly. So then they now created this idea of let's set aside a day for voting on crucial matters. You understand?
I didn't think about that.
But in the case of the NDC, if the 2/3 majority,
Even if he takes 60,
even if you take 60
he
out,
still has enough because he has about 185
Exactly,
or so.
exactly.
If you take 60 out of that's 120. That's still more than MPP.
Yeah, that's right.
Have you ever covered? What was the? Go back to the 96 Parliament and give me the breakdown. It was 200 MPs, right?
Yeah, so the only
I want to know
2/3 we had previously was in the 1993 Parliament.
But
So
that was not 2/3. That was 900%.
Oh, it was 2/3 because they were independent. And
No. There were only about 3 non-NDC MPs.
Yeah, but that was 2/3. I mean, it was in
No,
excess
it was
of-
more than 2/3.
I understand, but what I'm saying is that.
But what was the 96 figure like?
Hold on, let me.
But
I
in
got that.
96, the NDC had 131 members. NPP had 63.
So 60,
That's not the Parliament I'm talking about.
no, that's the one I'm asking.
96.
okay.
It's 60. It's 131 2/3.
No,
Because this is out of 200.
yes, because at the time PCP, People's Convention Party had 5, People's National Convention had 1, NPP had 63, NDC had 131.
So 131 out of 200. Is that one? Is that 2/3?
No, no, it wasn't.
But it wasn't clear 2/3.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. It was.
What is 2/3 of 200? Charlie, people, you did maths. Don't disgrace me here. This was a 200 member parliament. So if you wanted 2/3 of 200,
That's about.
Hold on, I'm getting.
Split 200 into
So-
three
so
parts,
about
that's
60.
60.
so about 67 times.
2/3 of 200 is
130.
Yeah, so the answer is 133.
And they had 131.
Yeah, so they didn't meet that
But
requirement.
who were the 5 there were 5 people from the minority parties.
Yeah, so you have PNC and CPP.
Did they join NDC?
At the time, I don't remember.
Maybe in those days, a 2/3 majority was not such a desirable point for lobbying of them. I don't know. Because this is pretty close to 2/3, but it never really came up in the discourse of the time. And I do know that some of the PNC MPs were aligned to one side or the other. Was this the Indum Parliament?
No, this wasn't the Indum Parliament. This was the Parliament long before Indum. Yes.
Indum joined in 2000.
2000, yes.
Okay.
So Bernard, actually, if you check the City newsroom information on the election in 96, the NPP had 61 seats. The NDC had 129 seats.
129.
129.
129
And then
61.
PNC had 2, I
Okay.
believe. So
Then it's not up to 200. Because if you have 129 plus 61, that's 190 plus 2. Were they independent?
there
There were
was
few independents.
1 or 2.
Charlie.
Yes.
Political history. I could only do political science. All right, whatever. So this is the first time a parliament will have 2/3 majority.
Yeah, I'm saying that the 1993 Parliament
Had
had
that.
in excess of that. Yes.
Yep.
I'm trying. I got a number recently.
But
for
did
some
they
reason I
do? The reason I'm not talking a lot about the 93 Parliament was that this was the first Parliament after a long break. So a lot of what we know Parliament to be able to do, Sky, don't forget this was Rawlings's first post-military presidency. So Parliament was not necessarily seen as a check on government at that time. Apart
Also
from-
because there was no opposition in
yes.
that parliament.
So what I'm trying to say is that
Yes.
that parliament did not construe its 2/3 majority in the way in which it will be construed today. Today, 2/3 means a lot for either helping to the government to rule or to oppose the government when they go wrong. In 93, our public discourse around parliament was not mature yet. So there wasn't, and nobody was thinking about it that way. All right. So this is going to be an unprecedented parliament where now we are very aware of what parliament can do or cannot do.
Yep.
And you have 2/3, which can be massively an advantage for either stifling or sort of supporting. They basically created a cabinet positions in the studio. We haven't put anybody's name there, but we basically think that the 60 ministers is very possible. 16 regional ministers, no deputies, and the 19 cabinet positions, or even 20 times 2, 40. You still have about 4.
Did we add agriculture though?
Oh.
Looks like a few messages. That's it.
And I'm learning.
Sky, you know,
the
Sky,
NDC campaigned on creating a standalone youth ministry.
That's
Youth
why I
ministry.
wanted us
Yeah.
to go into the
Sky,
We
Sky,
don't have a Greek here.
Sky.
Yeah.
The reason we didn't have a Greek is, you know, if you did it the way you do parliament coverage, when you do the economic sector, then you do the defense security sector, you would have had it easier.
Yeah.
Because the economic sector is roads, economy, transport, agric.
Yeah.
Okay.
You get it. Then you do the security ministries is interior, defense, foreign affairs. Okay, so you have finance, roads. If you did it that way, it should have been easier. But the way you mixed it up, that's why we forgot agri. Anyway, let's do some announcements. And
Yeah,
come back
before
to
that,
this.
Ubena, let me just add this. You know, you asked for a certain information
Yes.
that I was not ready.
Yes,
It was
give
not.
me-
Yeah.
give me.
So, in the 1993 Parliament that operated from 93 to 1997, the NDC, the Parliament was made up of 200 members of Parliament. Then you have National Democratic Congress, 189 MPs.
This was the one MPP boycotted.
Yes. National Convention Party,
bro.
NCP. Yes, they had 8 members of Parliament.
Wow.
Then there was 1 member of parliament for the Egle party.
Iglo.
Which is, Egle. They call it Egle. The every Ghanaian living everywhere. And there were 2 independent members of
This
parliament.
was the 93 parliament.
This was the 1993 parliament. So there were in all 185 men and 5 women.
That was
One
where
of
we
whom
started from
was
in this republic.
Yeah.
Now we have
276.
yeah.
And we are yet to know how many the NDC has, how many the MPP.
Wonderful. All right, Nathan will give us some quick announcement.
Yes, Broom is saying that big is better, Broom is best. Happy moments start with Broom. Your best season with Broom is here. Buy one and get one free, plus up to 25% discount on discount only on Broom appliances. So you're getting a free TV, free microwave, free ceiling fan, and free blenders depending on what you buy. Just call to free 0800 100 247. Broom leaves you with a smile. And this festive season is giving the best in entertainment on DSTV, whether it's footballing, great crystal clear HD, or local content on Aquaba Magic, or diving into cartoons on Cartoon Network, Disney Junior, on Nickelodeon. They have you covered on every front. So dial *759# to reconnect or stay connected and be part of the enjoyment. DSTV is your home of entertainment. And if you want a British degree at a fraction of the cost, and you want a vibrant student experience plus 50% scholarship for your degree, you need to speak to the people at Lancaster University Ghana. They are providing the finest faculty trained to UK standards. Call them on 0209 607008 or send them an email, admissions@lancaster.edu.gh. Lancaster University Ghana is the only British uni campus in West Africa. Now, if you want to have control over your electricity supply, Deep Solar has you covered. For only 58,000 cedis, you can go fully solar and enjoy independence from the grid. Okay, full independence from the grid. No more doom, so all of that. Call 059 549 4113 or visit deepsolarghana.com to learn more. Empower your home with Deep Solar Ghana, where energy independence begins. And if you want your child to explore STEM this holiday season, you need to enroll them in the Nyansapo Institute online STEM program from the 17th of December to the 24th of January 2025. It's for those who are aged 12 and above, and they'll get into coding, 3D design, hands-on projects from the comfort of their home. Give your child the gift of STEM today. Call 053 711 7334. Visit nyansapoinstitute.com to register today and unlock their potential.
Now, if you're looking for the perfect holiday getaway, join Global Wings Travel and Tours for a 7-day tour of Cape Town and Johannesburg. Celebrate Christmas in style with our exclusive package from 24th to 31st December. A package which includes return ticket, 4-night Cape Town hotel, 3 nights Joburg hotel, daily breakfast, and Stellenbosch Wineland, etc. Make your Xmas vacation a reality. Call or WhatsApp 055-368-8398 or 055-018-8181. Global Wings, truly global, proudly Ghanaian. Are you ready to boost your viewing experience? Then Showmax is your best bet with the latest blockbuster movie, popular international and local series, kids shows, and the Premier League. Showmax has it all and more. And with many payment options, signing up is as easy as ABC. Visit showmax.com, follow the prompts, and pay with MTN, Momo, Visa, or your MasterCard. You're good to go. Stream all your favorite content from the comfort of your home or on the go. And for the binge watchers, Showmax has got you covered. So go ahead and add a little more to your viewing experience. Showmax, streaming for Ghana. Now, Nathan, I know you're looking for litigation-free land. I know you don't like litigation. You are not like somebody sitting next to you. He likes court, but you don't like court. So you have to go to Royal Kingdom Estate because you don't small court, Sane. You don't like controversy. We specialize in land acquisition, construction, design, property management, and more. Now we have land in prime areas like Accra and Ebri. Land starts from 90k. We offer, and this is Ghana Cedis, flexible payment plans, affordable homes ranging from 2-bedroom and premium furnished apartments for short rental. Call 055 755 5909 or send us an email at info@Royal Kingdom Estate. Royal Kingdom Estate, building communities, nurturing dreams. All right, now we're looking for clarity on the number of seats won. If you go to our dashboard, it's a bit strange because we don't have all the 276. We have about 10 outstanding, depending on what has happened. For the Upper East region, everything is clear. Upper West region, everything is clear. The North, everything is clear. Volta and Uti, everything is clear. Bono East, Techiman South is not clear. Ahafo, everything is clear. Bono itself, everything is clear. Western North, we believe for parliamentary, everything is clear, although there could be one. Western region, we were told there was something with a fear, but we are not sure. Most of the places are clear. Then you come to Greater Accra, that's where the problem is. There are about at least four that are not clear. So Okankwe Central is not very clear. Ablekuma North is not very clear. Dominica Binya is not very clear. Neither is Tema Central. You go to Ashanti, Ahafo Ano. One of the Ahafo Anos is not very clear. And then you do, Eastern. There's a couple of issues in South Madridgeri. One of the Fantiakwas is not very clear as well. So let's talk to NDC first. George Lowe is the Deputy Director for Legal Affairs of the NDC. What numbers are they working with? That's number one. What do they make of the EC's views about the 4 or so that were declared in the course of a week? And has the injunction secured been effected? Mr. Lowe, thanks for joining us. Good morning. Hello, George Lowe. Hello. All right, I'll put Mr. Lowe back. George Lowe himself is a former MP for North Dai, who's now the Deputy Director of Legal Affairs for the NDC, and we are suspecting there will be a lot of court when it comes to this week.
Yeah, in fact, yesterday I received a process
already.
That was filed regarding one of the seats in the. This is the Trubu constituency seat. So this is a petition in the matter of Article 99 of the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana 1992, in the matter of Section 14 of the Representation of the People Act, in the matter of parliamentary election for the Trubu constituency held on the 7th of December 2024.
Wow.
And is between Dr. John Kofi Halm, who is the petitioner, versus Gloria Uwusu, who is the first respondent, Electoral Commission of Ghana, the District Office, and the Clerk of Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. And basically, they are arguing that the declaration made, which the declaration appears to confirm the NPP as the winner of that particular seat, is unacceptable, unsupported by the facts, and that there should be a declaration to that effect.
This is Trobu?
This is Trobu constituency. It used to be Trobu Amasaman, and divided it into two.
Yeah.
So it is now Trobu constituency.
All right. I'll add that later. So George Lowe is the Deputy Head of Legal for NDC. George, thanks for joining us. Good morning. Hello, Mr. Lowe, can you hear me? Hello, George, if you can hear me. Well, we seem to be having some challenge with our own technical issues. Hello, George, can you hear me? All right, we'll fix that in a second. So, Sky, I wanted to go to Trobu, where you say there was a challenge. We did not report on any major issue from Trobu necessarily, so I'm a bit.
I'll be surprised.
Yes.
Okay.
So what is his claim?
So there are a number of issues that they raise in this particular petition. The difficulty I have, first of all, is that the the representation of the people. Something is making some noise.
All right.
The representation of the People's Act says that to file a petition, it has to happen within 21 days after the publication of the results in the Gazette.
You don't want to wait, Charlie.
No, it's a requirement,
Okay.
and you have to meet that requirement. Now, what my difficulty is, the results were merely announced at the polling station by the the collation center by the Electoral Commission. The Act, as I know it, in all humility, says that you need to file the process within 21 days upon the publication in the Gazette. So I don't know why already there are court processes to that effect in the name of a petition.
People don't want to wait.
So maybe the NDC would have to explain to us why.
For trouble?
For trouble.
Let me actually go to the region and check our dashboard to just give you some highlights from the Greater Accra region. Now, in Greater Accra region, our map has... So we have 276 constituencies. We have allocated, based on what was announced, 267. Greater Accra, we've allocated all
267
for the whole country out of 276. So in our view, about 9 are disputed.
Okay.
For Greater Accra, the disputed ones include Tema Central and Abrikuma North. All right. And Trobu, which is interesting, Trobu for parliamentary. The information we have is that Gloria Usu got 54% and John Halm at 43%. So 43,789 for Gloria and 35,147. It will be interesting to know what the issues are. But let me come to George Low. George, thanks for joining us. Good morning.
Well, good morning. I lost you long time.
Charlie, congrats on winning the election as a party.
Thank you, Charlie.
Wonderful.
And thanks for your support.
Wonderful.
All of you.
What numbers are you working with? On our dashboard, we believe about 9 parliamentary seats are disputed. So we are not even sure who to give the victory to. But on our dashboard, on our website, 267 are quite clear. From what you know, how many of the seats are clear? How many of them you believe have not been resolved?
Well, as you know, there are as many as about 12 seats that the MPP says they do not agree with the results. And then there are, among the 12 are also some that have been called for the NDC and recollated or whatever, and taken about like Obuasi East and a few other places. But bottom line is that from our own point of view, we believe that we have in minimum about 185 seats, excluding some of the.
So even without the disputed ones, you have about 185.
Yes, we have about 185. That is what our records that
All
we
right.
believe we won.
I can do a region by region. I check Upper East, there's no problem. All the seats are clear. Upper West, the same. Northern, no problem. In Bono East, I think Techiman South is disputed.
South, yes.
Correct. If you come to Ashanti, Ahafano North is disputed, correct?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
If I come to Eastern, I think there's a dispute in Isawa Maduejiri.
Yes.
Is Suhum
And also I think there's one other one.
Suhum was declared by the EC last week for MPP.
Yes.
Then there was Fantiakwa North, which we believe NDC was given.
Yes.
So for Eastern region, what is not clear is in Isawa Maduejiri.
Yeah, that's the main.
The main one.
Main one.
There are a few in Accra that are worth mentioning. Dome Kwabinya is one. Tema Central is another. Okaikwe Central is another. Ablekuma North is another. Good. So those are the 4 I know from off the top of my head. I've also seen a legal process that your Trobu candidate, Mr. Ham, has initiated against the EC and against Gloria Owusu for the Trobu one, but I don't think that's part of the original group. Now, let me just first get the party's position. General Mosquito had a press conference last week and said what is happening at the police depot in Tesano is an illegality. Now, can you explain? Because the NDC was there from the beginning. I think when our reporter went there from Monday, Tuesday, Otokuno was there, Edu Jutamaklo was there, even Samuel George was there.
In actual fact, at a point I was there myself.
Wonderful. So at what point did it become an illegality?
Well, you see, the point we are making is that we were invited by were told by the EC that the ballot process and all those things are being taken to the police training school. So our people followed up and then called us and said, look, this is what the EC is doing. They have moved the process of, there were some, like in Sama, at the time collation had not been completed. So he said he had moved all those processes to the police training school. So we had to go there as leaders of the party to go and see what was going on. So when we got there, indeed, where the collation was in process, we waited to see what they would do, but under protest, because we were of the view that jurisdiction-wise and everything-wise, even if the process will be completed, it cannot be taken out of the region or the constituency for where the coalition is supposed to be done, because it's a constituency election. So if you so much to carry it to another location, to another region, we believe that it is not in tandem with the law. And so that's why our chairman was very clear that what they've done is an illegality. An illegality, whether you participated or not, an illegality is an illegality. You don't waive your right, or you don't correct an illegality by just saying that I also want to sit and observe the process. It doesn't make it illegal in any way. An illegality is an illegality. And therefore, it is for those reasons that we've gone to court, to enjoin the process and enjoin the EC from
let's
continue in delinquency.
So in the case of the police headquarters, a police training school, they declared Suhum and a couple others. I think they declared Fantiakwa North, if I'm mistaken.
Yes.
It was an Eastern region issue they were dealing with. So you're saying that for all those declarations done at the police depot, the police training school, they are illegal?
Yes, they are illegal. The EC had no right to do that. The EC had no right to even move the process there to start with. If you are saying people were working under intimidation, how do you feel that you have a room full of policemen, some armed, with police CID commissioners going in and out, issuing out instructions? How can anybody feel safe there and say that I participated in the process? So we are saying that whole thing is an illegality. We are not going to agree.
Okay, in the case of police depot, Suhum was declared for MPP, Akwetia was declared for MPP, but Fantiakwa North was it declared for MPP too?
No, it was declared for MPP. He had earlier been declared for NDC already.
Okay, I get it. So Fantiakwa North had been declared for NDC in the constituency.
And then in the constituency, and then they came to the police and said they had declared it for the entity. And we are saying that all those ones are by law illegal. And so we are not, it's not something the process we are going to accept. We will fight to the very end. It is our constituency, we want it.
Well, wonderful. Okay, so as far as you are concerned, the winner of Fantiakwa North was the NDC candidate because he was declared in the constituency.
Perfect. Yes.
Are you also saying you won Akwetia and Suhum, or you are just saying that the declaration of the MPP is wrong?
We are saying that we don't agree with those declarations, and that's why we will fight them in court.
All right. Now, prior to this, Okaikwe Central had been declared at the regional EC headquarters for NDC. All right, as has Ablekuma North as well.
Yes.
But that's also not the place the election was held. So, per your argument, those should also be illegal, right?
You see, I raised the issue of jurisdiction. We are talking about Greater Accra. So, if for any reason the process was shifted to another, and within the EC's regional office, it was the EC's office. So, provided that it is the same officers that were in charge of the elections in that region who declared the results, so be it. But we are saying that in this case, the whole thing has been taken from one region to another. Anything could have even happened in the process. So we are saying that jurisdiction-wise alone, we do not agree to what the EC did. The EC's overstepped its bounds. He violated the law. So what they went and did in Accra is an illegality. You know that even in law, where you are resident somewhere and your case has been taken to another decision, you can always file an application for it to be moved back.
All right, fair enough. Yeah, but why are you limiting this to regional jurisdictions? Because Tema Central was declared for NDC, but it wasn't declared in Tema Central. I'm told it was declared in a different constituency, or by an officer from a different constituency.
Yes. We are saying that what are the circumstances? Let's look at the circumstances, and let's look at again regional jurisdiction. I'm saying that to the extent that after all, the regional, for instance, the regional coalition, are we not doing it in EC offices across the region? So even if the decision was taken at the regional coalition, it will be within the ambit of the regional boss of the EC to deal with it, and it was within the same region. But we are saying in effect that so far as these ones are concerned, they moved from Eastern region to Greater Accra region.
But if the officer doing the declaration is an Eastern regional officer, does that not cure that?
Well, we
problem?
are saying under all circumstances.
But if the Eastern region, if for example, for sake of argument, George, for sake of argument,
was Tema Central, for instance, declared as with policemen in a room full of policemen? No, but even then, Tema Central, what we are saying is that the collation has been done. Don't forget, what is it called? 30-man South. 30-man South, where was the collation done? Where was the declaration done? The declaration was not done at the EC office. It was done elsewhere, but the Mensa said it was right that if we had a problem, we should go to court. So we are saying that to the extent that our parliamentary candidates have been declared by officers of the EC, within the once that declaration has been made, it is only a court of law that can say it is legal or it is illegal.
So, I'm just trying to understand your position so that listeners follow. You're saying that based on that 2020 precedent of Techiman South, if the declaration is done within the same region by an officer of the Electoral Commission, that declaration is valid.
Until overturned by a court of law.
But you disagree with what's happening in the police depot because Suhum, Akwetia, and Fantiakwa North and in Sawam are not in the Greater Accra region. So doing the recollation in Accra itself, you think is illegal, and the collation that is being done there, you think is illegal, purely on the regional location.
That is number one. Number two is also on the grounds that, you see, let's separate the two processes. One, we are saying that where, for instance, in Fantiakwa North, where the EC officer had at the place declared the NDC candidate as elected. Those ones, we are saying that there is nothing anybody can do about it. Even if the declaration was not proper, it is only a court of law that can justify that when you listen to both parties. Then there is the issue of continuing processes that was terminated and ballot papers and things moved all the way to to Greater Accra. And we are saying that process in itself is wrong.
Okay, I get the point. So you're separating Fantiakwa North, where a declaration had been done, and you believe you won, from places where collation had not finished and could not be done. So in your view, Fantiakwa North should be maintained for NDC.
Yes.
And Suhum and Akwetia, if recollation is to be done, it should be done in the region. And the declaration
in the region. And that is why to the extent that our injunction is saying that EC should stop the process. It should stop whatever is happening at the
fair enough.
Training school. Yeah.
Now EC also says Dome Kwabenya, Okaikwe Central, and Ablekuma North and Tema Central did not follow lay-down process as enshrined in CI 127, despite police presence at the collation centers to enable the commission staff undertake the recollation. According to the EC, the centers were besieged by party supporters who took over the process and forced their staff to declare results of their preferred candidate. And therefore, those processes they were violated and not followed, and therefore they are illegal. What is your view on that?
Well, we are saying that the EC has a right to go to court to challenge whatever it has done or to defend whatever it has done. We are saying that so far as we are concerned, a declaration has been made. And the law is clear that where a declaration has been made, it is only a court of law that can overturn that. That is why 99 of the Constitution is there. 2, the EC itself, using 30-man South precedent, says that when you have a problem with a declaration, go to the High Court. So what has changed? We are only following EC's own precedent. We are saying that, well, if you think that there is a problem with the declaration that your officers have done, well, let those affected by that declaration go to court for it to be overturned. We are not asking for too much. We are not asking for too much.
Okay, just finally, in relation to the Ahafo Ano in Ashanti,
yes.
What is your understanding of the dispute, and has the declaration been done yet?
It's one of the outstanding constituencies that issues have cropped up and they are dealing with. But all this, what I just want to say is that everywhere that there's a problem, we have gone to court over it. Those we stop the EC from doing any declaration or whatever processes that they are doing. Let's meet them in court. Let them meet us in court. Whatever the court decides, we follow it.
All right. Finally, so this your injunction you've requested. Was it on notice or ex parte for the estoppel of what is happening in the?
It was on notice.
On notice. So you are convinced that it has been stopped. EC will not continue the collation today.
Of course, EC has been stopped. EC has been checked. For the example, if you remember, they were trying to save the even are not done prayer on Friday, and he evaded service. But then Bosman Asari and others had agreed, said that they are.
Finally, my understanding of this whole court process, not on injunction necessarily, but on challenges, is that it has to happen within 21 days of the publication of the election results, I believe, by the EC. So as we speak, the EC hasn't even sent a writ of the election to the parliament yet. So we don't even know, in this disputed case, we don't even know who has won. So it appears that the basis for a legal challenge.
Bottom line is that we are challenging the EC's conduct.
Even prior to their.
We are not EC. When the elections are gazetted, then challenges can now be done based on the fact that I lost my seat, I don't agree, those kinds of things. But for now, we are saying that the process must be curtailed, and we are giving grounds of which we believe that the process must be curtailed, and we are also giving grounds of which the declarations in our favor must stand until this is set aside by a court of law.
All right. So let me just summarize my understanding of what you said. You are saying, number one, the collation that is being done at the police headquarters of Eastern Regional constituencies should be stopped because of the injunction. Number two, the declarations that were done in the Greater Accra Regional headquarters of the EC, you think they should stand?
They should stand because the final declaration has been done.
Even though it was done in a different constituency, the ones done at the regional headquarters.
Well, the bottom line is that the EC's agents in that region has declared a candidate after going through all the processes. You only declare a candidate winner when you have gone through all the necessary processes satisfactorily, and then you raise your hand. When you undertake that exercise, you are if you have no power to do anything about it until the person challenges it in court and maybe it's overturned.
Are you aware about the Trobu case that your candidate has brought against the winner?
I have heard, I've been told, but I haven't seen the writ. I haven't seen the writ, so I cannot talk to that one now. I've been told that there is a process like that being worked on, but I haven't seen the writ. It has been a tight weekend, so
all right.
As I speak to you now, I'm not even at my desk to
Fair
be
enough.
able to give you the
Fair enough.
nitty-gritties of all the others.
Fair enough, George. Well, thank you for talking to us. He's the Deputy Director of Legal for NDC. For the awareness of that, let me mention the constituencies from Citi that we know have issues. In the Eastern region, there's Suhum, Akwetia, Fantiakwa North, and Insama Madoji. That makes 4. Recollation is yet to take place in Hafuano Southwest, in Hafuano North, Obuasi East, and Techiman South. So those are 4 in addition to 4. That's 8. Then we have Domi Kwabenya, Okankwe Central, Ablekuma North, and Tema Central. That's another 4. So 12. 4 in Accra, 4 in Eastern, 3 in Ashanti, 1 in Bono East. So those are the 4. So again, Suhum, Akwetia, Fantiakwa North, and Insama Madoji for Eastern, Hafuano Southwest, Hafuano North, and Obuasi East in Ashanti, Techiman South in Bono East, Tema Central, Ablekuma North, Okankwe Central, and Domi Kwabenya in Greater Accra. I think we need to say is that Parliament reconvenes today, and they have a Sky. This is help me. This is the 8th
Parliament of the Fourth Republic,
and this is the last
So this will be the last session.
Session.
Yeah, that's
this is the
right.
last.
Yeah.
So every Parliament has how many sessions?
I think generally should be 4, if my memory serves me correctly.
I see. So so when they break the year into 4, so
they will do one.
Yeah. So this is the 4th session.
Back. Yeah, that's
final session
right.
of the 8th Parliament.
Yeah.
So from now to when?
So I honestly don't know the calendar fully, but it should be after the vote on account is passed. It will be after they have passed their conditions of service. You know, the Article 71 office holders, then the payments we make to them, they have to pass that. And then also, there are a number of outstanding things, including the justices of the Supreme Court who have been vetted and yet to be approved by Parliament, and a number of other things. When that is done and the President comes before the House to provide or give us his final State of the Nation address before the close.
So they will probably be busy from now till they can even get into January.
No. Well, they can technically go
because
into,
the new Parliament is after 7th
yeah,
January.
Technically they can take it to January.
All right. So those are the key things that need to be addressed.
Yeah,
it's going to be very interesting to see if these 12 matters will be resolved before
the House.
Yes, because the EC
dissolved.
because I'm told the EC has to send some information to the clerk.
Yeah, so the writ basically communicates as a matter of law that these are the people, the certified list of people properly elected by the people of Ghana to take part in the swearing-in process and then become.
And that is sent to the clerk.
Yeah, it was sent.
And when they move to January 7th to Parliament, the clerk will then
read out
the names.
list. Yeah, that's right.
And when you read, you call president and go and sit down.
Yeah, that's right.
Then they will then elect their speaker and then start their
exactly.
sitting. Okay.
And the thing is that list is based on the list that is gazetted by the Electoral Commission.
Where is the gazetting done?
It is done by Assembly Press.
So they publish the list.
They publish it.
Send it to the clerk.
Aha.
Then the clerk can begin work in Parliament.
Yeah, and under the law, in my respectful view, what I understand the law to say in or the decisions of the court previously is that the only time you can challenge the result of an election is where the gazetting has been done.
So those who are in court to say they have won,
yes,
they have to wait for that gazette to be
exactly
done. Although if somebody says something happening in a place should be injuncted, that's not really necessarily in relation to an election outcome.
Yeah, the difficulty though is that the law says, in my respectful view, that you can only apply for an injunction when you have a substantive writ.
Well, we can deal with that later.
Generally.
Well, the matter is in court, so it looks like it's the court that will decide everything.